Hello everybody, Filozsofia is back with a new type of video. I would like to start a new series. In this series I would like to discuss movies that I feel are spiritually connected, spiritual sequels to each other. And our base movie is going to be the Age of Innocence, and this is the Criterion Collection of the movie. This movie, The Age of Innocence, stars Michelle Pfeiffer, Danielle Day-Lewis, and Winona Ryder, and it's about love, relationships, marriage, forbidden love, loyalty, and before we dig deeper, if you haven't seen any of these movies that I will be talking about, I highly suggest to watch these movies first, because I'm gonna be talking spoilers. So if you don't want the movie spoiled, then please watch it first. So Danielle Day-Lewis's character Newman is engaged to Winona Ryder's character. I'm not sure of her name, but then I think it's Winona Ryder's cousin, Ellen Olenska, who's played by the amazing one and only Michelle Pfeiffer. She is mind-blowing in this movie. Wow. I wish they would have put her somewhere on the cover on this at least, or she is absolutely amazing and stunning in this movie, but I think almost in every movie. But so, and then when she arrives, there is a very strong connection built instantly between Ellen Olenska and Newman. But Newman is engaged to another woman, so they are trying to holding back on their feelings, and they are fighting this feeling because of their social status. And by the way, Olenska is divorced, which they really frown upon. This is the 1800 New York in the 1800s, so divorce wasn't something that was highly accepted. So she's in that situation, and Newman is engaged, but they just have this amazing passion and chemistry that neither of them really know what to do. They both want each other, but because of the social embarrassments and social expectations, they actually don't act upon their urges. And I think I mentioned in one of my earlier videos, but I'll tell you again. In this movie, the eroticism builds up so subtle that when actually they get to just touch each other, like, and there is nothing R-rated in here, I believe. There is no, other than kissing, they don't show anything, but one of the most erotic scene in movies, in my opinion, is when they are sitting in a carriage, both, and Newman takes off Alan Olenska's glove, and when I first saw that, it was just mind-blowing. I was, I think, pretty young, and that set the bar very high for my rest of my life, because I don't think, especially nowadays, not a lot of people can reach that level of intimacy and attraction when such a little touch can be so erotic. So at the end, unfortunately, it's not a happy ending for them, because Newman stays with Winona Ryder's character, and I mean, he loves her too, but it's not that mature love. I think it's a very complex love triangle and relationship triangle between these three, and it's just clean. Also, they try to be acting in a way that's socially accepted, and they are acting with integrity. They just happen to have these attractions and feelings that you just have really hard times suppressing. So let's go on with the spiritual sequel movies. Well, one of the first recommendation of mine as a spiritual sequel, and I really use the term loose. I use the term loose because what I mean spiritual, when I say spiritual sequel, I mean something that has the same atmosphere, even though if it takes place in a different timeline, or it takes it forward as an actual sequel, and that movie would be 45 years. And this movie came out recently, 2017. It's a modern movie, takes place in modern England, and there's an older couple in this movie. They're going to celebrate their 45th wedding anniversary, but just weeks before that, or a week before that, the husband gets a letter, and in that letter they inform him that his once girlfriend body was found in the glaciers. They went onto a glacier hike, and somehow she slipped and fell, and her body was preserved in the glaciers, and they never found it until that time. And this cover of the Criterion Collection edition of 45 years is just so interesting, because first, when I look at the cover very far, I thought this is a shoulder and that's another shoulder, maybe this is hair, and I think that might be a subliminal message. I'm not 100% sure, that's just my theory, but when I look at closer, it's actually just the snowbanks and icicles. So interesting. Also, it looks like almost like an arm here, but there's nothing concrete. So very interesting cover. So why is this a spiritual sequel? Well, after the husband discovers that they found his girlfriend's body, he changes. He gets obsessed with the fact he wants to go there, and the wife feels like that she is by default, she's not the one. Whereas here in the Age of Innocence, I'm 100% sure Newman and Alan Olenska were the one for each other, but because of the circumstances, they choose to not pursue that relationship. And then here, because of the circumstances, of course, she died, the first girlfriend, he had to move on with his life and find somebody else if he didn't want to be alone. So he found his wife, and he never he never talked about so much. I think the wife was aware of this girlfriend, but I don't think he made a big deal out of it. But now it's like, if this movie would have continued and we would have seen Newman's and the Winona Ryder character marriage 45 years later, while Newman is still thinking of Ellen Olenska and still under her spell, in a good way. I'm saying spell in a good way. And then the wife discovers other facts about this girlfriend that her husband did not tell her, for example, that she was pregnant, and they never had children. Also that they were engaged, and actually they were considered married somehow. I am 900% remembering right how was that portrayed in the movie, but he told his wife that, well, we said that we are married, so we can go on to this trip or something like that. So she realizes that that relationship was something much deeper, and the whole movie focuses more of the wife's feelings and how the wife deals with that situation, as she realizes that she is not the one for her husband, and that's very heavy. That's a heavy load to deal with, and that's what Winona Ryder's character had to deal with her whole life after the movie ended. So that's why this is a spiritual sequel to the Age of Innocence. And this Age of Innocence is such an amazing movie, and unique. I found another spiritual sequel, and that is another masterpiece, Rebecca. This is another Criterion Collection edition, beautiful, Alfred Hitchcock's Rebecca. So if you don't know what this movie about, I hope you do, because I've been spoiling everything so far. But I mean, yeah, you can have, you would have been able to watch my video if you just seen the first two movies. So Rebecca, this is about a freshly married couple. The husband remarried to this woman, I'm not sure what's her name. Rebecca was the first wife. I'm not good at remembering names. Rebecca was the first wife, and he remarried to his new wife. And the new wife moves in, and Rebecca died, so he's a widow. she moves in, the new wife moves in and sees everywhere in the house Rebecca's touch, Rebecca's things, and then the housekeeper is all about Rebecca, and she just feels so inferior. She feels inferior to, like, she feels that she cannot fill Rebecca's spot, and she kind of goes crazy over that. She is never going to be able to take Rebecca's place again. She is by default, because Rebecca's dead and the husband had to move on, and he moved on with her, but she feels she could never be as good as Rebecca, and she suspects that her husband still in love with Rebecca. And I guess to talk about the spiritual sequel, I don't have to spoiler the very end of the movie, so if you haven't seen Rebecca, I'm not gonna tell you what happens at the very end, which is a great Hitchcockian twist. It's very clever. But why is this a spiritual sequel to Age of Innocence? Because I think the same kind of feelings play along and again in the woman's point of view. Again, Winona Ryder's, both these movies are, in my opinion, play off of Winona Ryder's feelings that the wife feels inferior because someone else's spirit there in the marriage, a third person, a woman, that both women feels that their husbands are more intrigued and more in love than their current wives. So that's what I think of this spiritual trilogy. One movie and 2 spiritual sequels. Let me know what you think of my thoughts. Let me know if you see the connection, what I was just describing. And also let me know if you're interested in more videos like this, where I talk about spiritual sequels. Yeah, well, I hope you enjoyed this little talk. It was a very new experience for me too, to talk about these movies deeply like this and explore my own thoughts. I wasn't really preparing anything. I just sat down and opened up my mind and talked about these movies. And the freshest movie I watched was 45 Years, and the second, like, I watched 45 Years recently, and then Rebecca, and The Age of Innocence I've seen multiple times, but that's the least fresh watch. But I know that movie very well. So thank you for watching, and please leave it in a comment if you have any other thoughts, and if you find any movies like this. Also, I would like to hear if you have any recommendations of a spiritual sequel to Age of Innocence that would take Ellen Olenska's situation further. So when she moves on and whatever happens in her life, but she's still tied emotionally to Newman's character, I believe, because when there is passion and love and connection to the extent what's portrayed in this movie, I don't think that can go away. That stays with you for the rest of your life. And that's why The Age of Innocence is one of my favorite movies. Thank you for watching, thank you for commenting, and it makes me really glad if you like these videos, and I read all the comments, so thank you. Alright, enough rambling. Bye now.